Hello, I'm Lela Majsorovic, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Schools Instruction and Equity. All of our U46 high school graduation speeches were recorded prior to the murder of George Floyd while he was in the custody of the Minneapolis Police Department. As we celebrate our graduates today, our high school principals took less than 8 minutes and 46 seconds, the time that it took to kill George Floyd, to share some thoughts about who and what matters in this critical moment in our nation's history. While in this video we are talking, we want you to know that we are also reflecting on our own actions and listening, and we will continue to reflect, listen, and act.
History matters. Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Eric Gardner, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and sadly, so many more were killed unjustly. The manner of policing and treatment of Black citizens have been inequitable and unjust throughout our country's 400-year history. But our law enforcement system is just one that has failed Americans of color. We all need to do so much better.
Outrage matters. There's a justifiable sense of outrage in our society right now. The government has had years to build a more equitable system, from the promise of the Social Security Act of 1935, the Montgomery GI Bill, the Fair Housing Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1963, Brown versus Board of Education. These efforts and more have tried but not led to a more just society. All the while, we have faced repeated and pernicious challenges, from the attempts to restrict voting rights, the wrongful arrest, convictions, and incarceration of people of color. The lending practices of today and more have demonstrated systemic racism in the United States. We, as the U46 high school principals, acknowledge that some of our systems are broken and do not support African Americans. We stand with you in outrage, and we stand with you in the call for action. We can't let this moment pass us by.
Protest matters. The First Amendment guarantees the right of free speech for every individual. In fact, our Constitution calls for it. People of all races and ethnicities have taken to the streets to voice their First Amendment rights and have been met with aggression in some instances, even as they raise their voices in support of the very freedoms that our founding fathers deemed as unalienated rights. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but he must take it because his conscience tells him it is right." We stand in support of those who have voiced their outrage and taken to the streets in the past 2 weeks. We believe this can and will support change in our communities and across our country.
Student voice matters. We stand with our students, their rights, their thoughts, and their opinions. They represent our future, and we believe that they will shape a more just world. Already, so many of them have shown they will not tolerate the status quo, and we could not be more proud of their advocacy. Let us continue to listen to our students and ensure that we as a system, as schools, as individuals, see and hear our students.
Closing the opportunity and achievement gap matters. In our own system, we need to make changes. That means looking at the big picture, reviewing policies and practices that perpetuate inequities. We recognize that how well we serve our students of color, how well we close the opportunity and achievement gaps, how well we prepare our students of color to succeed in college and careers matters. Former U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan said that education is the civil rights issue of our generation. And if you care about promoting opportunity and reducing inequity, the classroom is a great place to start. Great teaching is about so much more than education. It is a daily fight for social justice. Our work in creating an equitable education system is one of the most important steps toward creating a more just society.
The classroom matters. We stand with our students to support a curriculum that identifies with our students and reflects their culture, their lived history, and their background. Our students deserve to learn how their cultures have contributed to and shaped the society we live in today. They deserve to look up and see teachers who look like them in their classrooms.
Legislation matters. In order to move forward, together, this moment, right now, We must address racism head on and do better by advocating for legislation that holds government accountable. From our law enforcement agencies to our school districts, we will ensure that systematic racist practices are rooted out. Much of this work requires a tedious review of legislation policies and practices and collaboration with legislators and community leaders to make those laws and policies better, to write new laws, to begin this new day.
Thank you to our principals, and thank you for listening. Most of all, thank you to the class of 2020 for already proving to be change agents. We commit to our graduates being ready with the moral compass, the knowledge, and skills to continue to initiate change and bring us closer to a just and equitable society.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives
Matter.